Welcome back, guys. In our last video, we set up all these assemblers. We built this whole little factory over here just to produce silica. We made this cheap silica recipe with limestone in order to make a bunch of this silica that's currently being ran out to a resource sink. In today's video, we're going to be running it from this area over here into our train station right there, and then we'll have our coal and our silica all hooked up into our train station. So everything's starting to come together. This will be the last little bit that we need to do before we can actually start working on our aluminum factory down there. So we're going to get everything down to our train station, sort all of it, get it on the right thing, and then build a transfer line to get it over into our factory, which is going to involve pretty much removing that whole platform there and rebuilding everything. So there's a lot to do in this video. We're going to get into it and try to get some work done. Is it pretty? No, not really. Does it need to be pretty? Probably, but realistically, I don't think there's any really a better way to do this than just piping it right across. So that is good. That is putting the silica into our train station right now, which I'm gonna have to cover up and make it a little bit nicer looking. But this means that everything is in the actual system getting rotated. So I have to hurry and rush over to our other train station and build a resource sink for this so I can get it out of the way. So I'm gonna do that like right now, and then I'll get back to clearing all this up later. And I am so smart because I completely forgot that I have already did this. So we do already have this set up ahead of time, which is awesome. It's just a matter of hooking this up into the resource sink, which just doesn't look like it is. So I'm going to build 2 more resource sinks to get this set up, and then that's really all I need to do to make sure that this is running right before I can build all the stuff on the other side. So let me get that set up, and then I'm going to watch this train come in and get a nice little shot of it. The train is currently all the way over... Where is our train? Oh, it's in that station, so it should be bringing this like right now. So I'll be back in a second. And here's our train coming in for the first time with 2 full carts of stuff. And we can finally see this nice little animation of both these getting pulled off of here. There you go, guys. That's what 30 hours of work looks like in building trains. Oh, I'm so happy this is finally getting done. Alright, I'm going to keep working. I'll be back in a second. Alright, so what we did here to make this little transfer line, it's really simple. It's just a 1 meter top, a 1 meter bottom, and I put a frame foundation in between it, and then I put some rails on the top. So it's a really simple blueprint, just to make it a lot easier on me, and then I can just keep snapping this all the way down. Actually, I might be able to... That won't let me. Alright, now we just gotta snap this all the way down, and then I'll build some supports to make it look a little nicer. These are running Mark IV lines in between here, and I couldn't get them all the way to the edge, so I will have to just connect little one pieces like this. And I should probably make sure their belts are actually going the right way. So let me get all this fixed, and then I'm probably just going to zoop this right, or put this right through this foundation wall. I could probably try to do like a 2 conveyor wall entrance here, but I think it's going to mess up the shape of this outside, so I'm going to see if I just put it right through the middle of this. Let me get these belts fixed, and then I'll be back in a second. All right, so I took this this transfer cart thing down pretty far. I'm almost to the actual other place over there. I took out these 2 4 meter foundations, and I ran the belts down, and then I'm just gonna run Mark IV conveyor lifts just right here. Just kind of get that down in there. I'll probably have to take out that tree. We'll set this up right here. See if I can get it straight, or at least on the right level. There's all that, and then we should be... Okay, all right, just let me fall. See if I can get it back up here. And then we should be able to take just these foundation pours and just vertical leap it up twice. Now it's running right into the wall, and it kind of looks dumb, but you know what? From a distance, you're really not going to see that anyway. So that's all good with me. Now it's just a matter of making sure we can get this set up to where it needs to go, building the foundation supports underneath to make it look a little bit better, and then sorting the rest of the stuff that's coming in here to get where it needs to be. So our transfer numbers are actually looking pretty good. This was 300 per minute from the miners over there, so getting 299 is really close, so I don't need to overdo this a ton, it looks like. And this is getting 491, and we need a 400. So this is already all set up right. I'm gonna have to up the coal just a little bit to get it to the 480 mark, and then everything else is going really good. It's just a matter of getting it all set up over here at the refineries, which you should be doing pretty soon here, and this is finally all coming together. All right, so we have our transfer line all the way over here now. It probably needs one more section to get it connected in here, but we're probably going to make that section. Something that you may have thought about before is that this is off center from here. And I got a plan to make this work. What I'm probably going to do here, let me see how this lines up actually. Not vertical. There you go. So it's really, really close. If anything, it's, yeah, there's a small little step, which you don't even need to jump for. I could probably put like a little thing here just to kind of make the ramp for it, but I don't even know if I'm going to need to do that. So I'll figure out how to get this merged. That's really not the problem. What is the problem is, though, I got all this stuff in the way. This refinery's got to go. This stuff has to go. The hyper tube cannon probably has to go as well because I need this space to build this factory. So we're going to have to pretty much get rid of all this stuff over here. Try to build a new one later on because I really hate autosave. Try to build a new one a little bit later on because we're going to need to actually have a way to get back for one. But this stuff pretty much all has to go and has to get organized elsewhere. So I'm going to work on getting all this stuff moved and figure out how exactly I'm going to do that. And I'll tell you guys the solution here in a second. Alright, so now that this project has gotten way bigger than it actually was supposed to be, I built an entire storage system. I have like 12 of these, I think more than that, maybe 14. But I got a bunch of these, and I got to do the last one all the way at the end for anything that's undefined. And this is going to cycle through and end up, it feels like I've upped the autosave to like 30 minutes, and it feels like every single time I try to record something, that it always happens during the autosave. So I may just have to turn it off. I don't know, but starting to get on my nerves. Anyway, so this is an entire sorting system, and we're going to let this run, cycle through all this stuff, and then it'll sort all the things that we brought over here to actually build the factory that we need. And we'll have it all nice and organized. So now our last little bit is get this part done, and then we can start tearing down the rest of these wires and everything. So we're going to get started on that while this cycles through, and everything's going to be okay. So let's get into it. Alrighty, so it is the next day for me. I have done a little bit of work here, just kind of show you guys what I did. So I did get most of this cleared off. We still have a little bit more work to do, but for the design I'm going for here is I want to offset them by putting them lower than the floor. Usually I tend to go above where I'm actually at, so I wanted to drop them in here to see if I can make this look good. On the backside over here, what we did was we have pipeline floor holes, and then we have holes for the conveyor lifts as well. All this is going underneath. These are 1 meters. I changed this whole floor from the actual 4 meters I had set up originally down to 1 meter. And we're going to try to do a lot of this underneath like we did before. So we come down here, we can kind of see what we got going on. We have our pipeline running across. We will have this line right here for our recycled water that's going to be at the end over here being ran back into this system. And we have our lifts and all of our splitters. So it's really simple. It's a 480 line down into 120 apiece. So we have one splitter for each of these, and then we have one splitter down the middle. So we have 480 down to 240, and then split again down to the 120 line. So we're gonna hook all this up. Then we have to hook up the water line to this right here, which we could probably do right now if we. Oh, it's all the way over there. So we're gonna hook all this up, get this set up, and then we're gonna have to build our next section, which is going to be our aluminum scrap stuff. And apparently I'm near the gas. All right, so I'll be back with an update here in a second. I want to give you guys a little tip. If you're trying to follow along with this setup, make sure that you put these little floor hole things a little bit further away than these. For some reason, you can make a really good right angle really close to it with the pipes, but for whatever reason, these need to be a lot further away from it for some reason. All right, so I'm going to keep working. I'll show you guys what I'm doing. I'm going to set up this recipe, the aluminum scrap stuff over here, and I got to input the coal from over there to start pulling it into this process. And then I need to merge the silica with the transfer line from there as well. So a lot of stuff to do. I'll be back in a minute. So if you're ever going to do this, just be better than me. I knew it was going to be a problem, and I mean, I made it work. It's fine. It's all covered up, and it looks like it's okay, but I would have just preferred it to be a right angle. I really wish I would have just redid this whole platform to make it look like this. We've already started, and it's okay, and we're going to keep rolling with it. So we are going to cover all this out here, so you won't really see much of this. But the belts run off of this transfer line through here, and then down, and then are going to be across these conveyor lifts on the ceiling. So my plan is to fix this, because it's not straight. Yeah, it's not straight at all. Alright, so let me fix this real quick. I can get rid of the conveyor thing. Just need the belt. I can put this here, and I can take mergers. If I can find them. My plan is to take the mergers, and I'll have to get rid of this because this needs to be here. But if I can line them up with this right here, then what I should be able to do is take the 120 lines for the conveyor lifts, or sorry, Mark 1, because that's what they are. I can click on it. Should be able to turn this here, and then run a Mark 1 line right into here. So this is our silica up here. You can see it coming across, and so you can merge this Mark 5 line. There's also our transfer line over there. So we have our silica that's going to get ran down, and then we have our coal that's going to be ran across here to underneath here for our next one. So they are going to kind of cross the lines, which I really didn't want to do, but I don't think it's going to work out otherwise. So we're going to leave like this. I'm going to hook up the rest of these lines to make sure this is right, and then I'll show you what it looks like here in a second. All right, so we did a bunch more work. We ended up getting this all straightened out. It's all level now. We brought our conveyor lifts down, just one, and then we hooked up our little line here. So I did have to place like a 1 meter foundation underneath here to get this set up right. And then once I did all that, I converted this over to the Mark II line because it is doing 480 liquid. This will also have to be Mark II as well. That. Change the color too. All right, so there's all that. Now we hooked up our next two sections, which is going to be our aluminum scrap reduction. So this is recycled water, which has to get hooked into this. And then this is the aluminum solution, which has to come over here. So actually, I may flip these around. I don't know. Let me think about it real quick, because it may look dumb up there, but from down to here, our coal is coming from right here, our aluminum solution is coming from here, and then we have our two outputs over here that can get routed off elsewhere. So I think I'm actually going to flip these around to make this work right, because that makes a lot more sense to me. So I'm going to go ahead and swap that, replace the lines up there, and I'll be back in a second once I get this fixed. Alright, so this looks a little bit dumb having this go one direction and this go the other, but it's going to make it so much easier down there to hook up everything that we need to hook up, with it all being on the same side. So now that we have this set up like this, that all means that we just need to connect this line, which is already in line with this, and then have this stuff be routed off the other direction to hook up with this coal. So this should be pretty easy. This is the water lines that'll need to be ran across to here, and then our last thing we're getting out of this is the aluminum scrap, which is coming out right here, and then that can be carted off to the next area for our foundries and everything else that we're going to need. So I'm going to start hooking up all these lines, and I'll show you what it looks like here in a second. Alright, so we got this side hooked up. We hooked up our aluminum solution. I'll push this over here, and then we ran our coal down to this, and this gets split off into two Mark II lines that are going to go into here. So this is your coal lines to go through and actually refine the aluminum solution. Our silica, instead of trying to lift this up and down and get this around here, we just took a nice right turn. It's going to be over here. This is going to be added into the foundries, which is going to where this stuff is going here with our aluminum scrap that's going to be coming out here. So we could just cross this over, get this out of the way, and we're going to run it down to the foundries where we need it to be. So the last step here is to hook up our water pumps and everything, or not our water pumps, our water recycling, and force this back into this system, and then make our routing for our aluminum scrap down to our next section, which would be our foundries. So I'm going to hook up this side, and I will show you what that looks like. Alrighty, so we end up hooking up all this. We have our water recycling with our pump that we talked about in like 3 episodes ago, if you guys remember. But pretty much this pump will force all the water coming out of this system this way, instead of it backing up and causing problems down the line. I tested it in a small sample, and it looked like it worked, so I'm going to stick with that, because I believe that's the right thing to do. I may need to add a buffer, and if I have to do that, I'm going to have to run this outside and then bring it back in. But we're going to leave it like this. There's our pump. Here's all of our water system and everything to supply this. We've upgraded this line to a Mark II because I believe that this needs a lot of water. I think it's 180 times 4, which is 720. That's not good, because that means I may need another one of these. I'm probably going to need another one of these. That's not good. So I may have to build a second water line just to make all of it work, and we'll get that figured out. But for now, this is all right. And we built our aluminum scrap line. It gets merged down to a Mark V. And then it's going to run right along this silica here that's coming in from the stuff above, as well as getting tied into our silica line from our trade station. So we have all this stuff set up now. We can move on to our foundries, but that's going to be a little bit of a bigger project. Right now, I'm going to redo these water lines and make sure I actually have enough water to power these and keep them running. So I'm going to work on the water system first, and then I'll keep working forward here in a second. Alright, so I really don't expect you guys to understand what I'm trying to do here. But pretty much we have this upgraded to the Mark II line, which is fine. That's 600, which should be able to supply 2 of these at 360. Then we have our second Mark II line. This runs down. We had to back up this one right here, and this runs into our refinery up there. Then it comes down and gets ran up to this refinery here. And then there's a little merger off to kind of connect it into this one. Now I put this before this pump in hopes that it'll split it and then force it back down here. If I'm still having trouble, I may have to do the split after or before this. If I'm confusing myself, I really don't know. And this is a more advanced system than what I originally thought I was going to have to do. So I've never did pipes at this level, I'll be honest with you. So I think this is right, and this should work because there still should be able to supply 2 of these. And then it's just a matter of making sure the recycled water isn't going to cause any problems. Because this now creates a loop where it's kind of feeding back into it. And I just got to hope that it's able to maintain it and everything works properly. If I can't figure it out, I may have to... No, because that's not going to work either. I don't know. We're going to try this, and we're going to see what happens, and just hope that it all works. Okay, so I got to go over there and hook up all the water pumps that I'm going to need to make this run. So I'm going to go do this for a second, and I'll be back in a minute. All right, so we got a bunch of stuff done kind of behind the scenes. We went over here, we made a little platform. We're going to run 6 of these water extractors in order to make all this run. I put this, I upgraded all these to Mark II, so we have our 2 separate Mark II lines. And I put a little hyper tube above it so we could actually get back and forth from here pretty easy because I kept running out of stuff and having to run from here to over there to back here to over there. It just got a lot. So I put in a hyper tube just to make it easier on myself. What we're going to do here is these are 120. And we're actually going to take this down to about, let's say 90. We're going to do this because we have a recycled water that's going to be put into the system. And even with all this, it should be able to fill everything up. I'm just worried about it causing any sort of backlog and then shutting it down. So we're going to try it at 90. I also figured out how to fix the problem over there with what I was doing. Because I realized once I thought about it a little longer that it's definitely wrong. So I'll show you how to fix that in a second. We're just going to hook this up real quick. And this should bring all of our water all the way to the other side. We just have to hook the lines over there. So I'm going to go get all this set up and then show you how we're going to fix this. And we should be getting pretty close here. Okay, so the pumps probably would have worked out just fine. But really what I need to be using is valves. And I can't really do one valve and then have this over here because that just stops it from going this way. If I connect this line to this, it becomes a single 600 loop, which is obviously not going to work. This is bothering me already. Let's fix this. So what we're going to do is we're going to put 2 valves. We're going to put one here. We're going to put one right here. Kind of match it up. At least try to make it look like it's in the same spot. And then what we're going to do is we'll use this to control the actual flow rate coming from this side and this side. So what we need to do right now, that's glitched up, is we're going to go up top. We're going to see the exact water return we should be getting. And then we're going to split it between these 2 valves. So I'm pretty sure that it's 120, but I need to go up there and check. And if it's 120 times 2, it should be 240. So I can split 240 down to 120. It's whatever one of these will be. So yeah, 120. So I just need to split the 2 valves at 120 flow rate, and that will push. You have 90 over there, so you need 100, 120, 240 plus 90, 310. You're getting 310 off of all of these plus another 120. Which should come out to more than enough to run these systems. Worst case, I can always take that down over there to kind of make it balance a little bit better. But this should work. When I'm kind of looking at it, I could have probably just split these over here. But, you know, it's all fine. This is going to work. We're going to run this system how it is. So we should be able to set this down to 120. 12. There you go. So that's a lot more closed off. And then we'll do the same thing over here. And now I'm pretty confident that this is going to work. I might be wrong, because I've never done this before. And honestly, pipes at this level is really starting to run me up the wall. So I believe this is going to work. I'm going to see what else I can get done here, and I'll be back in a second. Alright, so probably the last part of this video is just going to be completing this foundry section. So I went ahead and laid down all the ones we're going to need, which is 8. In order to consume the amount of aluminum scrap and the silica that we have coming in. So the problem with this is it's going to be a really, really compacted sort down there. Because I need to pretty much split 2 different lines down to 8 different sections. So I need 16 of these fill points total, which is quite a bit. So I set all this up here. I got all the conveyor belts to get it down there. I'll have to set up mergers and then split this all in the center and try to get this worked out on how this is going to look. So this is going to be a lot more complicated than probably the other stuff I've done, but it is just splitters, so I should have... Oh, boy. That is quite a bit, but we're going to make it work. So I'm going to start getting this set up, and I'll show you how I'm going to do this here in a second. Okay, so I know that I was telling you that it was going to look dumb, but it's going to look pretty crazy, honestly, because this will be like a silica line over here. So this is just one of these. So pretty much my plan is to repeat this 4 times. So you're going to have 4 splitters here for each of these lines. And then I'm going to place these going the... I'm out of conveyor or reinforced plates. And then I'm going to have these going this way, and I'll have another set of splitters over here. So this is going to look like a total jumbled mess of conveyor lifts by the end of this. So I'm going to keep working on this, show you guys what it's going to look like, and hopefully we get this done pretty soon here because, yeah, this is a lot. It's a lot for me. So I'll be right back. You're going to look at this, and you're going to try to make sense of this? Really? Like, if you woke me up from a nightmare, this is exactly what it would be. This is terrible. I mean, it's great, it's efficient, it's compact, and it's gonna work. But, dude, this is too much. I don't even want to try to make this thing red because I don't even know where to start on it. We're just gonna keep moving. Just keep moving on. It's gonna work. It's all good. It's all okay. If this breaks though, I don't know how to fix it without just tearing the whole thing out because, yeah, this is a lot. I did hook up the rest of our splitters over here. We have our Mark V line. This needs to get tighter to our aluminum scrap right here, which I'm going to wait because we don't want to start putting stuff through the system until I'm absolutely ready because I don't want anything wrong to happen and then I get into a huge mess. So now I just need to build the splitter section for this side, for the silica right here, and then the merger line, it's going to go the other way because I couldn't get this any closer and it wasn't going to work. So I'm going to run this out the other side, build the last little bit of the splitters, and then we should be able to let all this run. So I will be back in a second. Alright, so this is all finally finished, and it looks mind-boggling. I hooked everything up, the aluminum ingots that are going to come out of here into a resource sink, just dump it. We're going to attempt to test the system, which means we're going to connect the lines for the silica and the aluminum scrap. It also means that we need to connect the lines for the coal and the silica over there to get this running as well. So we're going to go hook this up, and then we're going to turn this whole thing on and cross our fingers and hope and pray that everything works out. So I'm going to do this, set everything up, and I'll be back when I'm ready to test it. All right, so underneath the trade station over here, I did kind of redo how I was doing some of this. I had these 4 containers down here, but I only have the 1 Mark V line, so there's really no point in pulling 2 containers out of this. So we're going to leave it like this for now. We've got it down to 1, and then that means I get rid of 2 of these as well. I set all this up. This is now hooked up into the correct lines, and then I have overflow lines, but I'm not going to set them up, just out of fear that if this is wrong, I'm going to start frantically dumping the stuff I'm getting from the trade station. So it's just going to be something I'm going to have to monitor and make sure that I don't overfill that up there, because once I start doing that, then I'm going to run into such a problem. So this is set up. We're going to leave this alone for right now. We're going to go down there and try to get this set up before I start messing with this trade station and get it too overfull. So I will go check that out, and I'll be right back. And that's exactly why I didn't want to set up overflow. I found a bottleneck in this Mark V belt. Just a small little one. That's why I was getting overflow over there before I even had this line stopped. So little stuff like that is why I don't want to start doing everything and fully running the system, because there are going to be things that I missed. I'm not going to get this right on the first try. So well, this is all good. I'm going to double check everything else one more time, make sure it's all good before I start this up, because once I get resources in the way of all this stuff, it's going to get a lot harder to get fixed. So I'm going to double check all my work because I don't trust myself at all. And then we're going to see if we can get this bad boy to run. Alright, so we hooked up all of our foundries, and these should actually be kicking on. So if we can fly up here real quick. Oh, they're not powered. Okay, so that's actually a good sign. So I was really worried that this is going to happen first. So let me, yeah, I didn't even set these up with the right recipe. Alright, so we're going to fix this. And then once we see this kick on, we're going to run over there and turn on our refineries right there with that power switch. And hopefully everything works right. Alright, I am so incredibly nervous to put this cable down because I put so much work has gone into this project. I had to build that factory up there. I had to build this here, which was a whole project. I had to get over here and clear out all the stuff that was trying to kill me over here. I had to build another trade station all the way over there. And then I'm forgetting about that one right there. There's another trade station right there. I did all this work on top of expanding my power infrastructure. That was a whole nother 10 hours. I've put probably 30 hours into just getting all the stuff over here and built and working properly just so I can test this system. So to finally see it run is such a big moment, and I'm so nervous that I got something wrong because so much time has went into it. But at this point, there's nothing more that I can do except for to try to run this system. So let's do this. Run over here, throw this cable on. These are all kicking on. Check all the lights on them. There they go. And we have green everywhere. It's good. These ones need power. That's probably an important step too, to get this turned on. And now these should be running. Why is it not running? No, what did I break? Oh, it's not on the recipe. Okay, yeah, that's an important part too. Put this aluminum solution. And now all this is running. So now it's just a matter of watching and making sure that's actually going to keep up. I'm expecting this to not keep up because I'm not actually running this aluminum solution first. So this is going to take a second to fully get going because this has to actually process the aluminum scrap. This is pretty much taking like 400 aluminum scrap that I had just sitting around in the system because I didn't really run it all that long. So I'm not worried that this is turned off right now. It's more of just making sure that this is run. This is still yellow for some reason. Oh boy. What, oh, I'm so dumb. Yeah, that's probably why that's not working. There we go. Okay, so this is good now. Alright, and that's already shut down because it probably needs the water for this. So we're gonna take some time and I'm gonna let this run and see what it looks like in like 10 minutes and I'll get back to you guys. Okay, so we hit our first of probably many snags that we're gonna have in this system. So the recycled water is already shutting us down. So this system isn't right. Even with the valves, I think I'm overfilling this line, which is a problem. I may need to add a buffer, but even with the buffer, I would imagine the buffer just gets full and then I got a huge problem in my hand. So I put valves here and I lowered them down quite a bit, and I'm going to see if this can actually fix it because I think we might have locked the system. Let me go check real quick, because if this can't go anywhere because there's aluminum solution and this can't, yeah, okay, so this is all a problem. This is not good because this is gridlocked because this is recycled water. It needs to go this way, and this is gridlocked because it's full of water and solution. So we're gonna flush the line and see if that'll fix it. Okay, so this looks a lot better now because this is actually not filling up, which is great. But the problem is that is this gonna shut down? Because this is relying on the recycled water. Yes, it's shutting it down. Okay, so we're gonna bump that valve open a little bit more to see if we can figure out like a happy medium to keep this running, because these two systems are self-reliant on each other, which is why this pipeline down here is such a big ordeal. We're gonna bump this up to, we're gonna call 280. That way it's got a little bit there, and we're gonna see what happens. I don't know if it's got to be like a perfect number, because 240 should have been the number. 240 plus the 120 that's split over here should have been a perfect number. So for it to shut down is not good. And maybe I need to do 241, but we're gonna let this run for a second and see if it runs lock again. So I've been watching this, and these have been green for the last like 5 minutes. This one right here, this first one, keeps having trouble because it is getting filled with water, which is going to gridlock the system. It's doing it a lot slower than it did before, but it's definitely going to do it. And this is already full aluminum solution. This is full of water. This is full of solution. This is full of water. So this is going to gridlock again, which means this is not working. It looks good, and it looks like it's working. It's ran longer than it did before, so we're getting a lot closer where it needs to be. But even with where we're at right now, we're probably like, yeah, there it goes. Now the whole thing's shut down. So we're like probably 25 minutes into this recording between everything, and it's also like 12 o'clock on the day that I'm supposed to be posting this, so I need to probably end the video here get this edited and get it out to you guys so you guys get your Thursday upload. We're gonna keep working on this. I'm gonna have to build probably a buffer system over here on the backside to try to figure out what's going wrong and kind of get all these valves in one place, which means I have to redo all the liquid pipelines underneath all this stuff. But you know what? It did run. So at the very least, we were able to get everything over here. We were able to make aluminum ingots. So that's good, and that's what's important. But we got to figure out how to get this recycled water taken care of, and that's pretty much what all the next video is going to be about, is short distance liquid logistics. I've been saying that all week to my friends, and they absolutely hate me for saying that, but I think it's funny. So that's what you're looking forward to. If you guys see the like goal, 15 likes by Friday night, I will post a bonus video on Saturday. All that being said, guys, I hope you have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you next Thursday.